I recently recorded an episode of Agency Growth Engine with my friend Jason, who's an absolute genius, and he had some really good follow-up questions and topics for us to talk about. And so we recorded a second episode, but unfortunately, I muted the wrong mic and turned on the wrong mic. So the sound quality is not that good, but the quality of the content and the context of the content was so good that we didn't want to not post it. So here it is for you. Please forgive me on the sound. Rookie mistake. Won't happen again. Gary, who eats the dog food on this? And I'm like, what do you mean? If this doesn't go well, who gets yelled at? If marketing doesn't perform well, the account manager gets yelled at. Great. That's your internal customer. All right, we are live for another episode of Agency Growth Engine, and today is a special episode because the last show that we did with Jason, he did a great job. I learned so much from him, and then he said, Gary, I got a bunch of questions for you, and I really wanted to talk through it with him, but I said, why don't we just make it a podcast episode? So, Jason, I'm going to let you have the floor today, and I'd love to work through some of your questions and hopefully provide some feedback or some useful information to the audience.
Yeah, sure. I think as we were chatting last week, or the last time we recorded, what's always interesting to me is just how other people have structured their companies and why they make the decisions they do. So just first of all, I'd love to learn about just like how you have structured the company so far, as you've grown and sort of, what does it look like today?
Yeah. So when I initially did it, I did everything wrong. So initially I built everything around me to be the salesperson and the account manager. And then what happened is I got spread thin. So I would always run to account management, fix, save accounts, and then run back to sales. And I had a very limiting belief. I believe that nobody else could do those two jobs. It didn't exist. It's too hard. I have too much unique knowledge. I'm too good. It's really kind of a prideful thing, really, is what it boils down to. And I didn't look at it that way when I first started. And so once I said, okay, I'm going to be okay with other people managing those departments, we started to build those out. And so that's kind of how I started. I started the wrong way. Now, as we started to unwind that, I still had everything structured in a way to support me rather than being able to support the company, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we were at over $250,000 a month, and I was still the main CSM and the main salesperson. So as you can imagine, like I had to have a lot of support, but that's not how you build a company. It's like building a skyscraper on top of a seesaw. You know what I mean? Like you would never do that because I became the bottleneck. So all the problems flowed back to me, and then I had to run and fix things. So it was a very stressful way to build an agency. So as we started to unravel and start to build things properly, one of the things that we had to figure out, and had a lot of help with this, a lot of consultants, my business partner, a lot of help on that as well. We had to untangle the old way that we were doing it. And the best thing that I have learned so far about business is to think of your company like an assembly line. And you have this assembly line, and then take your customer journey and walk the customer through that process. And then those are each station that customer would stop at. So let's just walk through it really quick. You're going to start with marketing, and then you're going to go to sales, and then you're going to go to onboarding, and then you're going to go to, client success or account management. Then there's going to be some kind of like upsell or retention or some kind of model on that back end. Like that's the main part of your business. That's the product that you offer. Now, then you want to start adding in support to those people, meaning HR, IT, research and development, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, the other one I forgot on that is the actual product, the marketing, right? So the actual product that you're offering. And we struggled with that. We didn't really understand. We didn't really focus on what is our actual product, right? So once we got that assembly line down and we had the product in there in its proper spot, then we went through and started saying, okay, who owns each of these departments? And what does winning look like for each of these departments? And then we put leaders over each of those. And then they took ownership of that. So the thing that I learned is you can't win at a high level until you have those departments squared away. And before a team of directors or a C-suite can work with one another, they first have to have control of their department, and the outcomes from their department have to be predictable. They have to be able to predict the outcome. So like with account management, they need to be able to predict churn rate, and then they need to be able to measure bandwidth. Mm-hmm. Same with onboarding, right? We need to know how long does it take to get an account through onboarding, and what are the variables, and then how many man hours does it take to move that account through onboarding. Same thing with sales, same thing with marketing. And then I'll say this, and then I want to get your feedback on this. The other thing that's really helpful is that when you figure out that you only focus on your weakest link first. So a lot of people are going to hear this, they're going to be overwhelmed. I have that's my skill set, is to overwhelm people. So people are going to be overwhelmed by this, but I'm going to make it simple for you. You only fix your weakest link first. And here's how you discover your weakest link. If marketing can produce 10 opportunities a month, but sales can only produce 3 closed sales, like that's all they have the bandwidth to do, there's no reason to fix anything else in your business yet until you get sales to be able to do 10, because that's your limiting factor. You'll never produce more than 3 a month because sales can't output more than 3 a month.
Yeah.
Then once you get that up to 10,
I would say it's like solving problems you don't have, right? Like, how do you, like, I can sit here and be like, I think there's problems here, and I turn around, I'm like, yeah, I'm solving problems that we might have in 6 months. But like, if we take your example, right? Like, if you're not closing enough business, well, it doesn't, you're solving problems in the customer success side, or sort of like how long it takes. But really, it fundamentally is not going to matter that much, because you're not closing enough business that, you're basically you're occupying yourself, keeping yourself busy, making it feel like you're doing work. I mean, you are, but you're not focusing on the right thing.
You're fixing problems that you don't know if they're actual issues to the client or not. They may matter, they may not. But why would you fix that when it doesn't equal any more revenue? No more revenue is going to come in because you fix that.
Yeah, exactly.
So now curious. Let me give you like a curveball. Throw you a curveball.
Yep.
What if your churn rate's like 30%? Well, then that's where you start, right? That's your biggest, weakest link, because you're losing so many accounts, the sales can't keep up. So go fix churn, right? Like, go to where the weakest link is, fix that, and then go through the process and fix the next weakest link, and just keep doing that and put all of your energy there until that's fixed.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really smart way to think about it. I'm curious, as you were building out these departments, did you end up promoting from within to sort of having people run these, or did you bring people in from the outside? Was it a mix? What's your experience with that?
It was a mix. We tried our very, very best. So I always tell the team, like, guys, just so you know, it's in our best interest to promote from within. It's cheaper. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to give you a big raise to promote you, and you already have a bunch of company knowledge, company culture, all that kind of stuff. And the raise that I'm probably going to give you is going to be cheaper than just going and hiring somebody, and you're going to be able to hit the ground running faster. Yeah. So we always try to promote from within, but sometimes there's just unique skill sets that we can't. So there was departments that I tried to promote from within, didn't work. So then I ended up having to go outside and find somebody who had a very specific skill set for what we needed so we can move faster.
When that happened, when it didn't work, was the person you sort of tried to promote, or did they stay with the business, or did they move on?
They almost always quit. So one of the best things that you can do for promoting is, before you promote somebody, so somebody's going to say, I want to grow. Mm-hmm. And great, we want you to grow. And I can totally manage people. Everybody says they can manage people. Most people can't, right?
Yeah. It's a lot harder than it seems.
And it's way harder. It's way harder than being the technician that they've mastered, right? So maybe they're a project manager, and maybe they're an account manager, and they're amazing. They're your best. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is they go, I'll promote them to a manager. It's a different skill set. It's totally different. Like flying the plane and building the plane, 2 different things, right? So I promoted, like, I would say, okay, well, you can give it a shot. And I give them an opportunity, and then it didn't work. I had to demote them. Sometimes I came with a pay cut. Like, there's all kinds of titles, and people quit. Like, you'll always lose them. So the trick that I learned to do this is, and my team hears me say this, so they know when I'm doing it, is like, hey, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I want you to try this new thing. I still need you to do your job that you're doing. I'm just giving you this project within your job. I'm happy to put a couple people with you, and let's see if you can get the outcome that we want from this. If they have the ability to be able to do that, if you can accomplish this or get close to it, then we can have a conversation around, this next thing. And then you give the title, then you give the pay bump. Otherwise, you're setting them up for failure and they will quit. I've never had anybody that I've been able to give a pay cut and a title cut and they stay.
Yeah. I can't see that working out well.
Yeah.
When I'm curious on your, like the conveyor belt, right? Is that how your teams are segmented, or is it very much like you get an account and it kind of like flows through this process? Or is it sort of like you've got like a salesperson and like an account manager, and they kind of like are more of a team, and it's kind of like they stay with that client through?
No, they're not a team. They're separate teams. So I have biz dev. So under biz dev, we have sales, marketing, and relationships. There's a salesperson. There's a sales, assistant. There's a person out going to events, chasing down leads, right? So that department's one of the last departments that we're like putting the final touches on, but that's one department. They're responsible. The main thing they're responsible for is sales. Now marketing lives in that as well, but their output is sales. So we have a sales target that they're supposed to hit every month. From there, the next thing is onboarding. So how long is it going to take to get this onboarding through? And then the next department after that is the CSM, or the account management, and they work in tandem, right? So the closer the departments are together, the more they work in tandem. And then it's product, which is marketing. And then we're trying to make that a recurring model, right? Okay. So one of the things that helps people, because people get really confused, like, wait, how do you prioritize, or who takes the lead, or who's in charge, right? So you obviously put people over the top of that structure, and that's what we're building now. So we have directors, and those directors manage managers, and those managers manage teams, right? So some people's teams are 5-6 people. Some people's teams are 20 people, 30 people. So this really helps. You have to find an internal customer, just like you find your external customer. Okay. So your external customer, your B2B SaaS companies, right? So you build out an avatar, all that kind of stuff, right? Well, internally, you need to do the same thing. So internally, this is a term I received from a coach. They say, Gary, who eats the dog food on this? And I'm like, what do you mean? If this doesn't go well, who gets yelled at? Well, the client. If marketing doesn't perform well, the account manager gets yelled at. Great. That's your internal customer. And then marketing is really important. That's our product. But marketing needs to respond to the account managers, because there's always nuances. There's always things that marketing doesn't understand about the client and all those kind of things. Now, if marketing's not servicing the account managers, then we have a problem. And there should be a natural tension between those two departments. Same thing for sales and onboarding. Sales always wants to have big goals. Onboarding always wants to limit those goals, right? No. Yeah. You guys didn't check all the boxes, right? You guys didn't do this right. You didn't. Two totally different people. There's a natural tension there. And you want that tension. Your job is not to remove that tension. Your job is to help the tension develop, and so these teams can work together horizontally. Because we have the vertical communication down. Now we're trying to build the horizontal communication. So that's super important that you identify that. And then you have the supporting departments, meaning IT is an example. They help us roll out different things that we need, whether it be like I'll give you an example. We're working on a page that the client can log into and get all kinds of information and get products that they can buy from it, et cetera, et cetera. Well, IT is a supportive role. So their client is first the CSM or the account manager, then it's the onboarding or the project managers, because they need to be all in the know, because they're the ones that task all this stuff out and make sure that it gets completed, right? And web lives under that. So there's all these supporting departments. HR is another supporting department. Research and development, finance is a supportive department, right? Their job is to tell you where your boundaries are and where they're not. So you got to think of these ancillary departments as you start to plug those in.
Yeah. As you kind of got some of the teams more stable and as you're building them up, how did you think about, but I think this goes back to another one of the episodes that you've recorded, right, about profits versus growth, right? How did you think about hiring, right, and like when to make some of those either investment hires or like,
Yeah.
oh no, we're the bandwidth issue or utilization issue, we've got to go higher?
This is such a good question. So I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm always like, spend it all. We're growing. We gotta go. So we did that for a long time. And then I was also like, I don't care if I'm not profitable, like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'll make it up next month. I'll get 3 more sales. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's fine when you're small. And when I say small, I mean under, $200,000. When you start getting up into these bigger numbers, if you make a wrong step and then all of a sudden you owe $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million, there's not like a credit line that I can pull off of for that, right? Like there's not. Before it was just like, cool, we'll put that on a credit card and make a couple extra sales and then we're good. It's like the way I look at it is like you're walking on a higher and higher tightrope, and at 3 feet high, it's not a big deal if you fall off. Can you get hurt? Yeah, maybe, but it's going to be minor. But you move it to 6 feet, now there's more risk. You move it to 20 feet, you could die, right? Move it to 50 feet, like you're probably going to die, right?
Yeah.
So you have to really start thinking about your profit. And the sooner you do that, the better you're going to be. And then from there, you make, again, it's just, where's your anxiety? So as far as hires go, this is a little bit of a different model to think through. So it's like, what's causing you, the rainmaker? So Jason's the rainmaker of the company. What's your biggest anxieties right now? And you're like, whoa, man, I just hate sales. And if I don't make sales, the company doesn't grow and it doesn't allow me to do anything else that I need to do. Cool, hire a salesperson. Well, yeah, we don't have enough yet. Like we need more revenue to be able to justify that. Cool, you can either lower your profit target or go crush it in sales for 3 more months, because you can do anything for 3 more months as long as that goal is in front of you, and get that money and then go hire that salesperson or whatever. And then it's a whole process. Like I was naive, like, oh, cool, I'll just hire this person, then we'll have a sales department. Wrong.
Yeah, it's not. Like I wish it was that easy.
Yeah, I'm 18 months in, 3rd team of trying to build it out, all kinds of nonsense. So it's hard, right? Like it's hard. You and I haven't brought in help. It's just hard. So you just have to continue. That's how I would tackle it, though. That's how I would tackle it.
Yeah. Did you kind of thinking back, because I think you had mentioned like kind of starting to, or the sales team might be relatively newer. Was that one of the last departments you built out?
Yeah.
Would you recommend?
It's the scariest.
Would you?
I don't know if I'd recommend it. It depends, right? So like if you're selling a SaaS product that's $299 a month, no, like you need volume. You need a lot of salespeople, right? We're selling yachts in relation to that, right? So we're selling every setup is $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 up to $100,000. And then we're asking them to spend up to $100,000 a month with us. So there's so many nuances in the sales process. So for us, I probably wouldn't change that. For other people, it just depends on your situation. It also depends if you like selling or not.
Yeah, and skill set, right? Skill set of the founder or the
Yeah, if you're like the guy developing the app, then you're probably not the sales guy. You might be able to do it, but you're probably not them. So I would say build a sales, like it goes to your anxiety, whatever your anxiety is. And everybody's equipped in different ways. I'm naturally the sales guy and the account manager guy. That's my natural setting, right? And so so that's how I deal with it. Whatever your anxiety level is, go solve that first.
It's interesting, and I don't know if we have time to dive into this, but it's like, how do you hire that first salesperson? I think is if you're not a sales focused founder, because that's an interesting thing. We've talked to some VC companies and some of their portfolio companies about when you have really technical founders, like it's pretty easy to get sold by a salesperson because that's their job.
So easy. Exactly.
Yeah. But that's a whole different conversation.
We brought in just like industry specific people. So we brought in somebody, they were really good, but they were too good and overpromised to the clients, and we ended up losing all those clients that they sold. Then we brought somebody who was more relationship based because we got burnt, and so we wanted somebody who was more passive, but then they couldn't close the deal, right? So we had to move them into a different position, and then we brought somebody in the middle, and she's been working out great. So
trial and error, like trying to it's like trying to figure out like what the best avatar is for
The hard,
that first hire. I mean, that's
yeah,
tough. Um,
it is very tough. Yeah.
and one thing that I think is relatively common in the agency space, you brought it up around time tracking. Relatively common, especially depending on the size of the agency, but a lot of agencies sell billable hours. How did you have that from day one, time tracking, or is that something you added on later?
No, no,
And
it takes
how
so
did
much
everybody
work. Yeah, no.
how did everybody feel
Yeah, so
about it?
we don't do time tracking. So we don't
Okay.
like say, hey, we're tracking and we want to know how much you're working. I don't really, whatever. If you can
Yeah.
figure out how to if you can hack it and figure out how to get your work done and you're semi-available so we can make sure that you're there, that's fine. Obviously there's exceptions to that. Sales has to be a little more present all the time, right? Because there's leads coming in. Account managers need to be present during certain business hours because that's when people want to meet. So there's always exceptions to the rule, but it's not time tracking that I'm looking with. It's bandwidth that I'm really more interested in. And you want to hire people who have the capacity to solve that for their department. So I up front, what I would just do, like if you and I work together and you had a specific job, I'd just say, hey, how long has that taken you to do this project that you're working on? Oh, it took me, cool. And I got to kind of know if you're a sandbagger or if you're an overshooter,
Yeah.
right? Like you're trying to show off to me and you told me 4 hours, it really takes you 6. Or are you sandbagging? You told me 4 hours and I really know it's more of like a 3 hours for most people. And you're just protecting yourself. Like you kind of have to know that.
Yeah.
Either way, you just want to start building that out as simply as possible. Then from there, once you start putting in managers, then that's their job to figure out the bandwidth. And so we know right now, I know how many for our account managers, pretty close. We know how many accounts and locations they can manage. Each person can manage.
Yeah, I think that's one of the spots we're in right now is trying to figure out exactly like how long, because I don't know if it's similar to you guys, but it's like every account is different. Every account, they spend wildly different amounts of money, but even the money, no matter how much they spend, it doesn't really, that's not the determinant factor because a lot of the activities are the same, irrespective. And so it's like, we're trying to figure out exactly what is that bandwidth measure, right? What's the sweet spot before we need to go make that next hire so you're not underwater, but also not hiring too early.
You just said something really interesting. So you said, it's the same amount of work, whether they're spending a lot or a little. So then your job is to say, how do I get more of the people that are spending? If it's the same amount of work, whether they're paying you 1,000 or 20,000, then how do we get more of the 20,000 and less of the 1,000?
Yep.
And then sales won't ever do that for you because sales just has quotas that they're going to hit. So then you take that information, you roll that back out.
Yeah, it's this. I mean, it goes back to knowing your avatar, but also being comfortable saying no. Or saying, hey, maybe it's an us problem, and saying we're treating every customer the same. Maybe they don't want to be. Maybe we're over servicing some of these customers and under servicing others.
They don't know
right?
what they don't know. Yeah, exactly. You set the expectations, right? So we went back through our product and we realized we're just giving all this stuff away to them, all these services, and we're just the team's like, yeah, and I'm like, stink, like. Man, we can't do that. So we started removing all of them and saying, okay, if you come on, we'll charge you for it. And no one wanted them.
Yeah.
No one wanted them.
It's the concept of like going to like a big gym, right? And you're like, oh, they got a basketball court and swimming pool and a sauna. And you're like, I'd really just want the weight room. I'm paying for all those, but I don't want them. Or conversely, like if I would pay for it if I knew you would have it. Right. So it's all about, it's that balance, right? Of how do you charge more for certain services and make sure people actually want
But you're always going to go through that. You're always going to be refining. Think about the cell phone companies. At one point we got charged for every single text. Now we get unlimited text. At one point, we were charged for every time you called before 6 p.m. Anybody. Like
free
anybody outside of your little town. Yeah, and free nights and weekends. But now they changed that, right? So they keep developing their model based. And then now the popular thing is unlimited everything. And it's like, but we throttle your internet. And you only get so much speed during these times because this is so it's just going to keep changing and morphing. Your business model is going to keep changing. One thing I want to add before we depart is another thing that's been really helpful, and we're building this out, is building out your dream org chart. So you build out a dream org chart and have each department do it. If you don't have departments yet, you do it yourself. Put your name everywhere you're serving as. Leave open all the spots that are above you or on the side of you or below you, and then present that to your team. And then you'll be amazed by the energy that provides to your team, because that's That's the opportunity to them. You go, yeah, we got this spot open, this spot open. And then what you want to do is if you have somebody who's really skilled, let's say making a website, but they can't manage people, then you start making a dream org chart inside the web department. So you have a C player, a B player, an A player. You have a senior role. You have a teaching role, right? So I just made five department opportunities that might only have a 3%, 4%, 5%, 10% raise on or whatever. Now you can keep your really skilled people really happy and always feel like they're growing.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice, especially to end on. Yeah, that's one of the things on my list for next week is to kind of put that together. So I'm excited. I appreciate the time. This has been great.
That's awesome. Anytime you want to do this, man, I love what you're doing. I love your demeanor. Anytime you want to have these conversations, let's just throw them on there and put them out there to help people.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll do more of these for sure.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, appreciate it.